because I can't see it. Oh, yes, folks, we are live and a very warm welcome to your usual Thursday evening's dose of Mauls, Balls and All, where we talk about all things rugby. And tonight is obviously no different. Joining me on stage here, on the screen here even, are familiar faces. We have Mike Reedy is joining us from Glasgow. We also have Dave Sheedy there in his Munster jersey joining us. We also have the man in Clontarf, Dara Weston, and our special guest. He's been on with us before. He is no stranger to any of us here. He is a rugby coach. He is a lecturer in sports science. He's also a gatherer of rugby stats after the game, and which he posts on LinkedIn in a very, very informative infographic. It is, of course, welcoming back Brett Igoe. Brett, how the hell are you doing, buddy?
Great, Peter. How are you?
I'm all right, yeah. Great to see you again. Are you well?
Yeah, good. Rugby season's over. Well, up to a point. Club rugby season's over, so back in the garden this afternoon.
Yes. Come here. Did I see you looking for another rugby coaching gig? Are you going back
Well,
down that route, or are you going to?
I've been coaching Enniscorthy Rugby Club for the last 3 years,
Right.
and I'm not coaching them anymore. And it was brilliant. It was great fun. I got involved through a friend of mine, Declan O'Brien, who's the head of coach education in Leinster Rugby. He twisted my arm, and I said, "Yeah, go on, I'll do it." And it's his club. He's actually the boss. Um, they're just. It's such a great rugby club. It is an absolute brilliant, and they were a pleasure to coach. I loved it. They were brilliant people. Like.
And are you going to go back into coaching another team now, Brett?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah,
Oh, would you?
gonna
Yeah, yeah.
see where it goes. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
So if
Okay.
anyone's out there needs a rugby coach, give me a call.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, listen, I'll tell you what, folks. Let's just go straight into it because there's a lot to get through. Unlikely we'll get through all of what the topics that we've had on. But, Brett, let me come to you first, seeing as you are our guest. Top of the list, the Munster issue. This
Have you sent the CD in?
No, sorry, have I? Why would I?
No, I
send
was
the CD?
talking to Brett because we were saying
sorry.
about he's looking for a new coaching gig, and God knows Munster need to sort themselves out. So,
All right. Well, why don't we have
don't
a
think so.
why don't we have a chat about what's going on in Munster? Brett, Jerry Thorney recently been interviewed. He said he wasn't very complimentary of the setup and the state of Munster rugby at the moment. They made bad signings, bad decisions, bad financial decisions. He said it's just a badly run organisation. But is it a legacy issue, Brett, with Munster rugby, or are they just? Is it just badly run, or what the hell is going on with them, Brett?
Look,
I know.
I listened to Jerry's podcast, and or I think it was off the ball last night. He
Yes.
was very good. He was very direct. He's very hard hitting. I think at one stage he was calling for heads. But I think what we all need to remember, we don't know what's going on the ground. Like we're spectators, we're supporters, we're like season ticket holders, whatever we are, but we don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. They are obviously in financial dog shit at the moment with looking for redundancies, and no one wants to see that. Like these are people's jobs that are on the line, and we hate to see it. On a bigger picture for Irish rugby, we like, even like I'm a Leinster fan. I work for Leinster. I hate to see what's going on down there. I hate to see that they're struggling. Yeah, there's a bit of banter in the stands and all that, but at the end of the day, they are like, we need Munster. We need a thriving Munster, and we don't have it at the moment. I have a lot of friends down there. I kind of made a few phone calls and kind of talked to a few people to find out, what's going on. Like, is your job on the line, sort of thing? And they said all jobs are on the line. And I think that's really sad to hear, that if it does come to that, like it would just be terrible for them as a club. Um, yeah, they're very critical on the ground of what goes on. They're very critical of the hierarchy of the club, but I'm kind of scratching my head on the solution here, because to run a professional sporting organization, you can't go in and just change one thing and expect everything to change. There's small little percentage ones that they have to get right, and that's going to be their biggest challenge. That, like, we'll give an example. They they removed obviously Roundtree, but they also removed a fitness coach. So there's obviously an issue in around the strength and conditioning and the physical preparation of the team. The new Clayton McMillan comes in, first person, and I think he's probably the only person. No, sorry, he's brought two people with them from New Zealand. One was a fitness coach. I hear Jack Crowley, who I tell you what, he was outstanding the other day. He was brilliant, but he said, "Oh, I spent the whole summer." He did an interview before the start of the season. I spent the whole summer uh, getting conditioned for this season and put myself in great shape. And I think when we saw him play, he was visibly bigger, visibly stronger, and in great shape. My question is, why? You've been a professional for a long, long time. Surely you're in great shape every year. So there's obviously something there that's not right. And if you don't have that right, it's going to be a struggle. There's a problem with their signings. Like, the Munster team that I know aren't happy with signing players who are third, fourth, fifth, sixth choice in other provinces. People with no connection with the club. The Munster I know are people who are born, bred, and raised in Munster. They've had some quality overseas signings in the past, and I'm talking about when Munster were in their pomp. But they've moved away from that model. And I think that's where it kind of goes a bit sour for them. Like, why would a player in another province who's fourth, fifth choice, who doesn't play European Cup, all of a sudden be a messiah that he can play European Cup now? And, like, are they happy to settle with that? And it seems to be they seem to be clapping themselves on the back about these signings. My thing is, why aren't you producing your own player? Now, I worked with the age grade program in Leinster for 20 odd years. We've played Munster repeatedly every year at all different levels, whether it be under 20s, under 18s, under 19s, clubs, schools, women's, under 18 girls, whatever. I cannot remember a time when Leinster were completely dominant here. There's one or two little blowouts here and there, but Munster have had blowouts too. They win. They are so competitive at under 18, under 19. Their school system is still producing some really top quality players. Anyone watched the Irish 18s the other day? They beat England. That was backbone by Munster age grade players. So they seem to be producing those players. Yesterday, Munster 19s played Leinster 19s, and Munster 19s won the game. So this whole narrative of Leinster have more money, Leinster have bigger schools, Leinster have this, Leinster have that. Yes, they do. But the product that's being produced, they're like for like at 16, 17, 18. What I want to know is what happens after that. What happens from when they leave school to when they transition through into academy? What happens when they transition onto the senior team? Because that development, to me, isn't really working. If we take someone like Kindellan, is a great example. Kildellan was a fantastic 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old. He was a
Yeah,
superstar for Irish under 20s.
yeah.
I don't see that player anymore. I don't see that player dominating. He doesn't look in good condition. He's got the heart of a lion, and there's moments in games where you go, yeah, that's the Alex Kindellan I saw at under 20 level, but it's inconsistent. So there's something that happens there. And again, I'm only giving you an outside view of what I see. I've no proof of this. I'm guessing all the IRFU bean counters have all this information and they're able to say what's going on. But that to me is they're so competitive up to that point, and then it just goes it goes all over the place after that. Um, yeah, they don't
It,
have as many schools anymore. But
it's a very
sorry, go on,
interesting
Keith.
point. No, I was just going to say it's a very interesting point that you make, Brett. And I never thought about that excuse me, that aspect to it. One actually, in between where they come from under 20s to their first cap for the senior team. What happens in between that? That's a very interesting point. I never thought about it. I never thought about that actually. And Candellin, prime example, as you just said there, Brett. Yes, absolutely. Sorry, Brett, will you finish your point?
No, go
Or
on, get push
okay.
on. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Brett. Great points, actually. By the way, thought provoking to say the least. Dara Weston, your thoughts on the question I've asked Brett, and indeed the great points that Brett has raised.
Yeah, I mean, one of the points Brett raised was about the signings, and I think they've had more Christian Cullens than they've had like Big Jim Williams. A lot of their overseas signings have come in with great pomp, but haven't really produced that much. Um, Also, the internal production line, the Munster kind of academy production line, there seems to be some kind of problem there. Um, but like this has been an issue for many years. When you think Peter O'Mahony won one piece of silverware with Munster, and that was that URC final. That was the only trophy he lifted with Munster, because he came in just after the glory years, and he was there for what 12, 14 years, and playing top flight. Um, but I mean, we know all is not well financially down there, and it hasn't been for a while. We've seen in the IRFU accounts. We talked about this before last year with Peter Martin, where we were going over the IRFU accounts, and every year the capital loan for Thomond Park just gets rolled over. It doesn't seem to get repaid. There doesn't seem to be payments on it. It just seems to be kind of rolled over. So I thought they had gotten a cash injection. Now Mike and Dave, you'll probably know this more. The rugby place, the rugby experience place that was open down in Limerick, when JP bought that, did Munster not get the money for that? And it was given to Limerick County Council, who then wouldn't take it. So yeah, I don't know. I thought Munster had some share in that. But I mean, it's I'd agree with everything Brett said. Irish rugby and Leinster need a strong Munster. We need strong interprovincial competition. We need a team to, because we've seen in the past couple of years in Europe where we were finishing top in the URC and struggling in Europe because we weren't getting tested with the same high quality opposition that we were encountering in Europe. And, you were always guaranteed a good match against Munster years ago. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of, it's been a long time brewing, I think, the problem.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's been kind of plastered over, but it'll take a while to fix. But I don't know where you'd start.
Okay, well, yeah, but that's very true, Dara. Dave Sheedy, you with the big Munster head in you. I know you have a lot to say about this, but let's without expletives, let's just have a chat about this. Dave Sheedy, what do you think about all this? Would you agree with what was said, or what do you think?
Yeah, like you can't disagree with what we could all see. Like as Brett said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and I don't think we'll ever know. Same when I still haven't heard a definitive reason why Roundtree was let go. Still haven't, and I've been inquiring. But I'm because I'm in Dublin, I'm not connected to any club in Munster, and I don't know the hearsay. I'm just going off comments. But like with all this, I honestly don't know where to begin. To even start the list of complaints that I have. But it's just like, Thornley's right. It's been badly managed since Gareth Fitzgerald. Like, I read Danny's pieces up on Ruck this, and I messaged him one or two things about what he said that I kind of might have slightly disagreed with. The idea of the stadium was brought in the time of a Celtic Tiger and then finished in a recession. Why that's still being paid for, I don't know, because I remember hearing that JP gave $5 million for that stadium. When it comes to coaches and players, like Owen Miller's been banging on the group that Munster haven't produced a prop in years. I think he's right. Our last prop is John Hayes. And centres, definitely, because I went through the list from 2009 of all the foreign signings. I still haven't sent it to you, but I'm nearly finished it. And we haven't produced a centre either. We've had Casey Lalala, Fekatoa, all different years. We actually got Francis Saili. I forgot about him. He got injured and we bought another guy. There's been players that haven't even been brought in for like 2 years and didn't even get a cap. So it's just reckless spending, man, going on in Munster. And then, as Brett said, what is happening between the age of 18 to senior level? And then we look at the academy, and Costello has been there for a long bloody time. And when Costello couldn't get himself off the TV with Mike Prendergast last year when they took over, and the more and more I listened to him, the more I thought to myself, this fella is a pure waffler. You know, like McGahan kind of continued on from one Kidney did, and then McGahan left. And then Rob Penny came in, new coach, New Zealand, big hope, and then bang, in 2 years he was gone. And then if people read his book, there was outside interference with him selecting his team. And then Foley took over. You know, Anthony Foley's my hero. But when Foley took over, I was always of the opinion that he didn't have enough experience for head coach. He's a coach, definitely a coach. He's well able to coach. But head coach, you're dealing with all the other coaches. And I don't think that's his personality. I think he was kind of like Lancaster. He just wants to coach. He doesn't want to deal with all the interviews and all the politics. So then they brought Razzie in, and we know the rest. Then Razzie brought in Van Gran. Like the style, I'm not a waffler, right? But me and my father were calling for the head of Van Gran after 2 years because the style of rugby he was playing was just kick, chase, kick, chase, kick, chase. That was it. It was real South African. It didn't suit us. It's boring rugby. And it took 6 years to get rid of him. You know? And now we've the Mike Prendergast attack. Like, I'm harping on about Prendergast. I've nothing personal against the guy, but I don't trust his attack. It's too narrow, and it's the same mistakes every week. Like, we're all saying we need a competitive Munster. After the Leinster game, everyone thought, bang, Munster's back. Brilliant. But if you look at the game, we got 2 breakaway tries. We defended like our lives were accounted for, you know, and we did that. We played like that against La Rochelle. So that attitude that has been missing the past 7-8 games is there because we saw it against La Rochelle, we saw it against Leinster, but there's no consistency with that old dog Munster attitude that shows up one game a season now. And I just think with the finances, with Everton, the only person I would trust now, because I did a lot of reading up over what happened London Irish, because I think Munster are heading in that direction now with the finance thing. And the only person I believe that can sort it is Declan Kidney. Give him the CEO job because he's a school teacher and he's very organised. My father's an ex-teacher. He's organised. They know organisation. They can get someone else to get sponsors and this, that, and the other. But to cut the fat out of Munster, the waste. I mean, 190 people have to, or 90 to 100 people have to give up, have to go for voluntary redundancies. You know, why have we got 100 people employed? That sounds like a hell of a lot of people for a rugby club. Maybe Brett works with Leinster, so maybe he can give a better insight. But for me, that just seems like a very high amount of employees for a rugby club. You know,
okay. All right.
You know, it's frustrating, man, because we're years watching us nearly get there and then not get there, and then it's just been a slow decline. And there's so many problems now, and economic reasons, cost of living crisis, infrastructure reasons. I mean, I can get to Thomond Park from Dublin quicker than people from Kerry, West Cork, and Waterford. You know, there's so many reasons.
That's a.
I know, but it's all factors. Yeah.
I know. No. I can hear your passion quite evidently in what you're saying, and I think it's great.
See, it's just one thing, Pete. One thing I want to make the point. It's not about the scoreline. It's not about winning. We want to see a team playing like it means something. Like the old Munster. I don't know how many games they lost, but you knew they gave it their all. You know, you kind of felt like even though we lost, it felt like a victory. I don't have that feeling anymore, you know, because it just doesn't. Yeah. It looks like they're not arsed.
Yeah, no. Listen. Look, I know what you mean. Look, I'm a passionate Leinster
Yeah.
supporter. You're a passionate Munster supporter. I get it. I can hear it in you, Dave. And fair play to you for making those points. Okay, Mike Reedy. Before I come to you, just a few comments coming in here. Luke Conway has said, "Evening all. Hi, Luke. How are you?" Um, let me see. Sober start. Oh, here we go. No, I'm not reading that out with Igoe. It's this is rugby related. Sober Star. If you want to come on under your actual name, um, Bishop Len. Evening, lads. I always enjoy Brett's analysis. Can he give a brief synopsis of Munster's attack, and has he seen any evolution in the last 4 years whatsoever? Sorry, Len,
The
you
man
did send
Bishop.
that. I did. You did send me that, Len. Sorry about that. Sorry, Mike. Before I go on to you, while it's on the screen, Brett, what do you think about that question there from Scrooge, Bishop Len?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. Yes, there's been a huge evolution in what they're doing. Um, for me, they've brought in a head coach. They've given him two assistant coaches. It's an arranged marriage. Arranged marriages struggle, and I think that's what you're now seeing. You've got two people with different philosophies. Mike is more expansive. He wants to play an expansive game at a high pace, high skill level. The way they were training was very high intensity stuff, high meters run, high intensity runs. The GPSs were burning off the back of the shoulders of the players. Um, but the new coach doesn't actually match. And what it looks to me is that this arranged marriage has been put together with people that don't understand game models and how game models work. You know, you have to, everyone must complement each other in the ideal world. Like you have the Toulouses of the world, they only pay coaches who, or they only bring in coaches who've actually played for Toulouse. Why? Because they know the Vilpra, the they know that way of playing. Like that's what they do. You look at Bordeaux, they bring in Noel Mack, who's completely and utterly aligned to the French way of playing. You know, they bring in someone of that expertise to do. Whereas this has been Mike is very expansive. Clayton, I don't think is. The defense doesn't really marry. Sometimes we're soft, sometimes we're hard, sometimes we're aggressive, sometimes they're not. Like it is an inconsistency of what they're doing defensively. But in terms of the attack, yeah, it has. It's Mike has brought the team on a hell of a lot. Um, but you know, it's not working. And I think when you have a coach that's out the exit door, I think he probably loses the effect he has within the team environment. And the players know they won't be playing for that coach next year. It's a subconscious thing with most of them. They're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
looking around going, you won't be here. So they dropped down a gear or so. And we saw it with Joe Schmidt with Ireland. You know, in 2019, he said he was off 6 months and it just all nosedived straight away. And there's loads of research and evidence around this. You know, I
yeah,
think
yeah,
was there one case Alex Ferguson said he was moving for Man U. They dropped from third to eighth. Then he said, "Actually, I lied. I'm now staying." They won the league that year. You know, it's the effect he has, and I think
Can, can,
Mike is probably suffering from that now.
can I just ask quickly, Brett? Is it a French style of
Yeah,
attack that Mike is trying to bring that we don't have the players in pace for, and we don't generally have the weather conditions for either?
yeah.
You're trying to force it, like.
I think it was really baffling at the weekend. It was really
Yeah,
baffling at the weekend because of the conditions. He couldn't play as expansive as he wanted to play, but they still tried it. And it was just
yeah.
like, surely you
Seemed
have
like
a
madness.
plan, you have a strategy. You won the toss, by the way. You elected to play into the wind. Surely you know what you're playing into. You know, an
Yeah,
AIL team will be prepared for things like that. They clearly had no plan of how they were going to play into the
yeah,
wind. And it
yeah,
was,
yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest, it was a bit baffling to watch, you know, because Mike is a very experienced coach. He knows what he's doing. We have a guy who's coached Super Rugby at a very high level. We'd like to think he knows what he's doing, but it just looked really, really strange. They were set up really strangely on Saturday to play into it. It was like as though they weren't expecting that weather. And everyone knew it was going to be crappy weather down in Exeter that day. You
It's
know,
not as if it's not
oh,
windy in Limerick. Like.
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
But
look, it was. It
yeah,
was. Go on,
sorry,
Brett.
Peter.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like it's like Mike is trying to bring a game that he might not have the players to be able to play that game. Like it's very much it's a new age. It's a bit similar to the way Stewart wants to play.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
pods
yeah.
with the players out the back and short passing game. Yeah, it's all sitting. It's all like that. There's a bit of French in it with the way the forwards are lined up. But Mike has brought in whatever he's coached in France for a long, long time. He's probably bringing that back to the province. My question is, do they have the fitness to play like that, and do they have the skill level?
Yeah. Yeah, true. Good point. Mike Reedy, waiting patiently. Your thoughts on all this? The woes of Munster. What's causing it?
Oh God, there's a lot cleverer people than me in the rugby game that don't seem to be able to fucking know what's causing it. So, there's all sorts of things. I think a lot of the problems, starts at the top. It looks as if Munster almost need a clear out from top to fucking bottom in the coaching, in the coaches anyway, or in how the club is being run. It's embarrassing, like the way it's fucking gone. In fact, now I don't know. I'm not privy to what any of the financial situation or anything like that. So I wouldn't have anything to say much about that. But like I don't know. I've heard that JP McManus gave him money to pay for some atonement or whatever, but I think he's actually gave more to Limerick GAA. That's something that maybe people aren't crediting. See the fall away from Thomond Park, attendance at Thomond Park. That's almost coming in conjunction with Limerick's success, like as a hurling team, because success breeds generates like support in any sport or in any walk of life for that matter. And I think that it's almost, it looks like people that have jumped on the Limerick bandwagon. They hadn't won an All-Ireland in 50 years until a few years ago, and now they won about 4 or 5 in a row. And
Yeah, okay.
and they like the support will go with something like that. If Munster are struggling, which they have been. Now I thought they were heading in the right direction under Roundtree, and it looked that way. Like the start of the season was poor, but he seemed to have got him under wraps, and then they went away to South Africa, and he never fucking came back. He was never seen again. So I don't know what's happened.
But it is Mike though, as Dave Sheedy said
Allegedly.
earlier on. Allegedly, no one has been told. I'm not going to go down that route, Darragh.
They really should have come out.
But Mike, no one has been told why Rowntree was let go. There's never been a solid reason. There's been rumor and speculation.
No, maybe there was an agreement between him and Munster Rugby that it was never going to be made public. Whatever happened there.
Well, probably, yeah. We won't go down there. Let's not.
Be some kind of a. It almost looks like a cover up, but.
Anyway. Can we just?
There'd be a non-disclosure probably put in place.
Well,
Yeah.
fair.
Anyway.
Mike, you haven't even mentioned the mercenaries. Are you not going to talk about the mercenaries and how they were the downfall of Munster?
I've a list of them.
Don't get him started on this.
For the downfall of Munster. Let's not fucking make no mistake about it. They were. They played they came in with a brand of rugby that was not suitable to Irish rugby. And I'm sorry, Brett, you're a Leinster man, but I feel the same about a certain individual that's at Leinster currently, and I think it's an absolute disaster for Irish rugby.
Can you just say him like Orgy Snyman? Is that it? Is that him?
No,
Not player, no.
Nienberg, not Judas.
Oh, Nina Bar. Sorry. Yeah.
I think it's an absolute fucking disaster for Irish rugby. It's totally against everything we play, the style of rugby Ireland play.
Well, hold on, Mike. Brett, Nina Bar, does he suit the Irish game setup? What do you think?
Yeah, look, I wrote about this last week or the week before. Leinster got whatever 4 finals, lost 4 finals.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
I'm well aware.
And then we know that as Leinster fans, we know that there were one of the finals in particular they should have won, and someone in the organisation decided, look, we need to take a different route here. We need to shake things up. We need to move on, and we need to try a different way of trying to win this. And they've gone down that route, whether people agree with it or not. Niarber's been brought in to do a job. They've hired his expertise to do his job. it's not his fault. And I mean that in the best possible way. He's doing what he knows on what has brought him success in the past, and he's going
Yeah,
to try and replicate that in a club side. Is it
yeah,
easy on the eye? Not for me. And I'm a Leinster traditionalist, and I actually thought the way we played under Stewart. I think if
Oh,
you and
it
I said
might,
it in my article, if you go back and have a look at the semi final games against Toulouse, they were some of the best Leinster games you've ever seen. They were outstanding those days. They put for them to stick 40 points past a very strong Toulouse side on two semi-finals was absolutely outstanding. I actually thought they were within an inch of having 8 stars on their jersey, like they were. And yeah, I personally wouldn't have made that change, but like that's not my decision. Someone higher
Yeah,
up in
yeah.
Leinster has decided to make that call. If it doesn't come off, it won't. Like people will probably lose their jobs first, but they're kind of hoping it does come off. But they're in year 3 of it. It kind of has to come off pretty soon. And they'll they'll come back and say, well, they got to a final of Europe under in Jacques' first year, and what took Toulouse to extra time, and we're probably a bit unlucky to win it with the cards with the way that kind of came out. But like poor Jacques gets hammered for this, but
He
he's just
does.
been
He
employed to
does.
do his job.
He
He's
does.
he's doing
And
his job and he's doing it as best he can. But like, do I like the opportunities they give up? I'd love to put a game plan together to play against Leinster. And I think it's an actual dream for opposition coaches, for opposition analysts, because it's a great challenge. It's one of the best professional rugby challenges in the world to come up with a game plan to beat that defence. And I think there's analysts. I've got friends of mine working with other clubs, and they all fancy their chances. They all do. But we can't blame Jacques.
no, I'm
to be an
not. No,
optimist.
the reason I asked the question, Brett, is that this is what we do on the website, rookthis.ie, what we do here. It's all fan based opinions. We're not experts. We've all
Yeah,
played the game, most of us,
yeah.
although Mike Reedy wasn't Twickenham in 1878 and he never lets us forget about it. But that's the way it goes. But we've all played the game, so it's all just fan based opinions. And the majority of the fans that we see commenting on threads, on match threads, on opinions post game, particularly post Leinster games, is that the Nina Bar effect is not working for Leinster. That's just from the fans looking on. We're not experts. That's all where the question came from, Brett. But do the fans have any credence in what they're saying?
Look, I think they do, and I think if you have a look at gate receipts and stuff, that's where you're going to see it. For me, it's great to see these players playing, but I actually liked that they kind of changed last weekend because they seem to be
Yeah,
attacking a bit more and moving the ball a bit wider, and that's how I would associate. So for whatever reason, but Jacques isn't in charge of the attack. And
yeah,
Tyler's in charge of the attack. So I think maybe we should start looking at the attack coach and say, well, if the problem was with the attack, let's have a look at it, and we can talk about Jacques' defense. But yeah, look, they've stuttered and they are stuttering. There's no two ways about it. But I
yeah,
did
yeah.
see I did see green shoots in the last 2 games, and maybe that's just me praying there's green shoots. I don't know, but
I
they definitely
I have a
they
theory.
definitely are moving the ball a bit wider and playing like I'm seeing a lot more offloading. I'm seeing a lot more attacking inside shoulders. I'm seeing a lot more pace to their breakdown work. Now we do have to admit Edinburgh are not a good side. They're
No.
they're one of the worst sides in the URC. They're well down. I'm reading articles in the Scottish Scottish rugby about that they're nearly a development side, you know, and like Leinster could have scored at will at times against them, and I mean that in the best possible way. Uh,
I know.
like
But
whatever 21 points came from backing up
is
the opposite or
Glendale
backing up
is
the.
Glendale still in the infancy of his coaching though? I'd be of that opinion.
Well, has he not coached Super Rugby? I think he has.
Did he
I
go?
think
Did he
he's
when he left Munster? Did he go back to Super Rugby? I can't remember.
he's coached Super Rugby. What is he
Yeah.
year 3 in Leinster? So Like you're at one of the top sides in Europe for 3 years, and you're with Super Rugby for 2 or 3 years. God, at what stage will he become a senior coach? You know, like
I,
it's
I
he
have a,
he is an
I
established
have a
coach.
theory
Like,
why
Yeah.
it changed over the
Hold
last
on.
two. I have a theory. The
yeah,
the Irish internationals that came back from having been coached for 6 weeks by Andy Farrell have played absolutely totally better, each and every one of them, since the Six Nations than they had prior to that. Tommy O'Brien, Caelan Doris. Tommy O'Brien is to me is one of the best wingers we've had in decades. Um,
yeah.
there's like it's there to be seen that they've been coached differently for that period of time, and they've all played better. Each and every one of those have played better since the Six Nations than they did prior
Yeah.
to it.
I
All
have
right.
And
another
Okay.
theory. I have
Go
another
on, Dara.
theory.
I was about to ask you, Dara, for your opinion on all this.
Everybody, and look, I've been guilty of blaming Jack as well. But there's another elephant in the room. We haven't won anything in Europe since we changed to Castor jerseys. Is there a curse?
Oh, for Jesus fucking
Not only are
sake.
they shite quality, but have they been having a shitening effect on us? No, because if you think of, the last time we won was Adidas, and then
Yeah,
before
okay.
that Canterbury.
Brilliant.
So
you're
Okay.
getting
Any genuine opinions, Dara,
it's a
on what we're
fuck
talking
off,
about?
Burke. It's a valid point. Hey, it's a
you're,
fact.
you're
All
getting
right, jersey. The manufacturer or the sponsor of our jerseys does not affect our style of play. Would you go on and just
know
answer?
that now.
It does. Some of the best jerseys we had were Canterbury, and the IRFU for some reason from what I've heard, they won't allow the provinces to have Canterbury jerseys because they're afraid it'll affect Irish sales, whatever.
Yeah.
But
All right. Okay.
yeah,
Go on.
no,
Go on. Go on. Go on. Opinions.
no, that's it. Jesus, you've had longer rants about Wes.
So you've no opinion on what I've asked Brett or what Mike has said about Nina
No,
Bar.
I've said many times I don't know. Look, I don't know. The other thing is we know Nina Bar is he's finished and he's gonna go back to South Africa to join up with Rassi again.
Well, is he?
So why wouldn't he, Mike?
He took Felix back.
I'll tell you.
He got all the English.
Look at the way South Africa are playing now, in attack wise, as compared to how they played when Jack was there. It's a totally different game. They never used. I mean, they had the two best wingers you could ever hope to have in Cheslin Colby and Lorenza, and they fucking never got the ball because they kicked away everything. It was fucking dreadful rugby to watch.
Well, his contract is only up until the end of this season.
Yeah, but that might
So
very be the
that
case.
kind of teed it up to.
All right.
And the other point you were making about Faz. I mean, Faz isn't directly coaching the lads. I mean, they have the attack coach, the defense coach, all that. Faz is more of a Leo character. But that's the other thing. Leo seems to be very much, I mean, look, one thing that infuriates me as a Leinster fan is, and I loved Leo as a player, I loved him as a manager, but no matter the performance, how bad it was, he'll come out and say, "Oh, well, the lads did a great shift today," and they put their heart into it,
Yeah, well, that's it.
And
That's true,
that
yeah.
was the one thing you had to love about Roundtree. He would absolutely roast his players in the interviews.
Yeah. Costello did the same.
And he probably didn't make a lot of friends in Munster by doing that. So.
Well, maybe that's the reason. Okay, a few comments coming in. Mark Noonan, a good Munster man. Evening all. Hi, Mark. How are you? Good to have you with us. Joe Lyons. Oh my God, I always love from Joe Lyons. What did he say here? For fuck's sake, just tuned in. Dave was on a rant. Jay said, I miss Mike talking about the NIQ lads too. No. Joe Lyons, can someone reach out and give Dave a big hug? Okay. Bishop Len, thanks, Brett. Great overview. Finally, the vindication for the fans that thought handing existing coaches extended contracts before a new head coach came in might be the best idea. Who would have guessed? That is from Bishop Len, one of our colleagues, also a great Munsterman. Okay, moving on. Brett, I want to ask you this because it is one of your stats. And it is about the 45 players. I think this was, mid last year. I think you wrote about this. that I saw on the currency. 45 players that came through the Leinster Academy or the Leinster Pathways are now playing for other provinces. Is that sustainable for the other provinces? The optics of that, Brett, really aren't great in this. Now, I mean that in the sense that, well, fans and maybe the Blazers of those other provinces are maybe asking themselves, why are we relying on Leinster cast-offs? When that is, it's not actually the case, but the optics of it might suggest that. Is there a way to stop that? I mean, the over-reliance, Brett, on one particular province for players. Now, I know there is a population argument, 2.5 or 3 million in Leinster, they've more schools, but you know, if you're talking about Leinster producing 3/4 of the pro players, Munster don't produce the other quarter, Connacht don't do it, Ulster don't do it. So, where is the solution for this, Brett, or is there one?
Um, I'm not too sure there is a solution, and I've mentioned it when we talk about the Munster situation earlier on, about bringing those players through, because the quality of those players are like for like Munster 17-year-olds at the high end. Their top five players are the same as the top five players in Leinster. They're the top five players in Ulster. They're very similar when you look at an Irish under 18s team from last week that played England. There's a strong, yes, there's slightly more Leinster players, but there's still a big cohort of 5 or 6 Munster players. But it's what's happening after that. And I know, like Jerry Thornley mentioned, David Nucifora, it was probably a bit harsh, but we do probably have to have that conversation of the systems that he put in place, that he told the world of, that it was his high performance plans for bringing players through, and it's all his systems. And if you look at all the branches are awash with employees at the moment in this high performance space and bringing players through. Probably have to look back at the other provinces to say, oh, well, did that actually work? And does it work? And if it doesn't, why not? And I think that's a really strong question for Munster to ask. I do think when you look at Ulster, I think they traditionally have had some really good backs. I think they've got some young backs in around the 25, 26 age group. So I think it's worked for them. Look, I don't have a major problem with someone going looking for an employment somewhere else. And if
No,
they
no,
feel
no,
as though
no,
they're
no.
better, like if you look at Jack Murphy, I think it's a great move for Jack Murphy. I've always rated Jack Murphy. I had him at 17 with the Leinster schools. He's a great kid, very talented, but he would have been stuck behind Sam, Harry, like the list goes on. He'd probably be ranked number 6 or 7. He's now had exposure in Heineken Cup. Like Jack is he 21? I think he is
21, yeah.
21, 22.
Something like, yeah,
You
something
know,
like that, yeah.
so he's getting massive exposure by actually going up there. He's working with a quality group of players. He's working with a quality coaching staff. Obviously, he's living with his dad as well, which probably helps. But Jack is like, he's super talented. Like I heard Ron O'Gara talk about him the other day. Like Raj even thinks he's a bloody decent player, and he is a decent player. But he has
Yeah,
more minutes. If we compare it to either Charlie Tector or I'm trying to say Casper Gabriel, they're the same age.
yeah,
So if
yeah, yeah,
we if
yeah.
we if we have a look at that, well, Casper's playing fullback for Terenure College. Jack is playing a European Cup game against La Rochelle, or a Challenge Cup game against La Rochelle. He's already played 5 or 4 European Cup games this season alone. So he's growing into that role. What I don't like, and I mentioned at the start, I don't like some of the provinces signing the fifth or sixth choice player for some of the provinces who've no European Cup experience, and then championing that they've got this great signing, and it's kind of like, I'm not too sure you do. If you've
Yeah, 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 yeah.
aspirations to be, if you have aspirations, and Munster have aspirations to be a top 4 team in Europe, and that's where they probably should be. And I know it's probably a long way off now. They shouldn't be looking for players like that. They should be developing their own world class players.
All right, okay. Good point, Brett, as always. Dave Sheedy, as the article that Brett wrote last year, all these players coming through the Leinster Academy or the Leinster Pathway, Is it a good look for fans and the Blazers in the other provinces that what they look at this, why are we relying on Leinster? Can we not produce our own bloody players, Dave?
Like Leinster let Tyke Burns slip through.
They did.
You know, so
Yeah.
like there's this thing.
Is that your point, or is that, do you want to?
No. I get this.
Yeah.
There's a
All right,
thing
go on.
now that there's this magic conveyor belt. I said it in the comments on the thing, and I'm going to stick to it. And in the 2000s, there was no talk of a conveyor belt. Like, you definitely had the population. There was no conveyor belt in the 2000s. And then when Joe Schmidt came, now, Brent would know more about this. I can only go on third-hand information I hear. And I heard that Schmidt went right down in through all the underage teams and started telling them what he wanted, what he was expecting, this and that. That's what I heard. But you had two exceptional coaches in Schmidt and Lancaster. And I think that's the fruits of a lot of these high-quality players coming through. Whereas I don't think we had that. Like, no one in Munster, no one in Connacht, no one in Ulster wants cast-offs. We want our own players. You know, we want our own guys coming through. And it's just, I honestly think it's a population thing. There's so many dynamics to it now. Like, it could go on and on and on. But, like, you know, you have to hand it to Leinster. Like, they've really upped their game, and they are bringing through some quality players. But I think now with Lancaster gone, and he in Connacht now, and especially Richie Murphy in Ulster, because you know he'll start going down and start bringing, and same with Lancaster. So you'll see more players coming from Connacht and Ulster over the next 4 or 5 years. I think, and we don't know what's going to happen in Munster yet, but. You know, there'll be a challenge there. So, like, where, as I said, the excess players now, the fourth and fifth choices, where do they go? England, France.
Yeah.
But Dave, if you were a young fella in Limerick, or you know, Clare on the border of Limerick, do you not think it's a lot more attractive now, instead of talking out for munchins in rugby, to actually pick up a hurl? Because you could be going up to Adair Manor and training in the gym up there, because there's the amount of money that's been thrown.
No. Yeah, I don't think it's just money, Darragh. Like, I mean,
well, the facilities, you know, the amount of facilities that the GAA, Limerick GAA have, probably outshine what Munster have, because Munster piggyback UL's training facilities.
Yeah, and then we have one.
So I mean, could that be a spanner in the conveyor belt in Munster? That, you know, a lot of lads would come from Limerick. They would literally see Thomond Park. They would grow up, play rugby, and their dream was to play for Munster.
Barry Murphy said that. I used to live over there, and I used to dream of playing in Thomond, and he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, I mean, with the success of hurling, like Mike alluded to earlier, it is definitely a factor. And the GAA have put in all-weather pitches and lights and great facilities in a lot of the bigger clubs around Munster, not just Limerick. And the Munster Championship, I know Burke's going to have a mare now because we're talking about hurling, but we have to understand the Munster Hurling Championship now is so competitive and so electric. It's huge, and everyone wants to be a part of it. Like Ben O'Connor, our fullback at the weekend, is the next under 18 or minor All Ireland champion, I think, or something close to that.
Brilliant. Well done. You put it in table tennis or what?
Question, can I ask?
Yeah, good man. Go on, Mike. I was going to come to you now. Your thoughts on all this, Mike Reedy.
Leinster have sent 45 players. How many players how many of those players come from outside of Dublin? How many players represent Leinster come from outside? For instance, Kilkenny. How many?
I don't know, Mike. It was Brett's article. So I don't.
Mike,
maybe
they don't play rugby in Kilkenny. They only play hurling.
Yeah, they did. We had Ian Dowling as a winger.
There's exactly the point.
Okay.
But like
Brett,
there, Meath,
hold on, Dara, hold on. Brett, do you know the answer to Mike's question?
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot. Like, so for example, I think Kilkenny College, where my kids go to school, have 3 professional rugby players in the last 3 years that came out of that school. So there's 3. Ross Gray are sitting on the border between Munster and Leinster.
He's
Like
from
the likes of
Tipperary.
Jack,
Very
they're
frustrated,
the
but
likes of Jack Teagan is in the Leinster Academy. I think Joe Finn is in the Munster Academy. There's a good split there. They've a lot of people from Tipperary going to school there. They've a lot of people from Offaly, Laois sort of area as well, and it gets divided. You know, there's the Carneys from Louth. There's Darcy Furlong. There's like Sean O'Brien from Tull. Like there's loads. There's a hell of a
they're all
lot going. There's a
individuals.
kid.
By and large, the majority of players that represent Leinster are from Dublin.
Oh,
Well,
there would be, yeah, but it's a
And the
population
Pale.
as well.
interesting. So, Mike, if you think of Reggie Corrigan, Victor, Shane Byrne, who was on last week with us, or a couple of weeks ago, Shane went to school in Blackrock, but he's Wicklow man.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so there's a lot of lads come through from Dublin schools, but they're not necessarily from Dublin.
Right, yeah, but that's the thing. That's the Dublin have all the schools. Listen, all the
They don't. They
We
have
don't have
a
all the
high
schools.
percentage of schools, but
They
there's still
don't
a
have
lot
all
of
the-
schools that, like the best schools team this year was Pres Cork
Yeah,
by a considerable margin. I've taken schools for 20 years down to Cork and Limerick to play games. It, it's a bloody tough place to play. And 9 times out of 10, we came back with our tail between the legs. Like I coached in Clongowes with Noel Mack for 10 years. Like we take every Saturday, either before Christmas or after Christmas, we were in Cork or Limerick for games, and we lost those games, and we were badly beaten in a hell of a lot of games, and we had the Will Connors and the Dan Sheens on our team, like as 16, 17-year-olds. So it's not like the narrative out there that Leinster schools, Leinster schools, Leinster schools. Yes, it's there. Yes, there's a fee paying element to their schools and facilities, but there's two really good schools in Cork. There's Bandon Grammar School, who were probably one of the first schools in the country to play a full time professional coach in Regis Sons, who's a former Toulouse. They're paying for a top 14 coach, which is unbelievable. Then there's the schools in Limerick have probably taken a hit in the last while, but there's a lot of activity going on. I think we kind of bash the schools outside of Dublin a bit too much for me, where they are. Like you go to the age grade teams, there's a lot of schools producing a hell of a lot of players. And that includes the Campbell Colleges of the world up in Belfast, RBAI. Like there's a hell of a lot going on the ground that it doesn't get the credit it deserves. The best school this year by an absolute mile was Pres Cork. I saw them. I saw them play 3 times. They were absolutely brilliant. Well coached, fantastic facilities, really good athletes.
My
Well, that's
wife
the
is
question.
from Cork,
That's
and when she was in UCC, Brett, she shared a house with Mike Ross. Jerry Flannery was there. Stringer was there. O'Gara was meant to come in. I don't think he ended up going. And Donegal O'Callaghan was there. And none of them came from Dublin schools, Mike. They were all Munster lads.
I'm not.
No, okay, Mike Ross played one game for Munster and then let him go like we did with Tig. And then he ended up with us.
The difference is rural as against urban. I mean, Dublin is an absolute is a mass. It's obviously probably a quarter of the population of the whole of Ireland. Dublin on its own. So that's given that. I mean, my point is, rural Ireland doesn't produce the same amount of players as a place like Dublin would, which is.
Can I jump in that? I think there's more competition in Munster and Connacht for people with the GAA than Dublin would have.
100%.
Yeah, that's when it comes to that.
All counties outside of Waterford from Munster have won All Irelands in the last 50 years, multiple All Irelands.
All right, okay, brilliant, All Irelands, fantastic. Let's go on to a commentary, Mike. No, I know, okay, brilliant. I'm just time conscious.
More GAA.
According to GAA official accounts, Limerick GAA received 48.25 million in 2024, made up of state funding, private investment, and other finances. How many?
And Clare won in 2020.
Globally, hold on, would you stop? How many rugby clubs globally Test teams match that. GAA in some countries is, when discussing finances, akin to test level. Sadly, Munster, Leinster cannot compete with that. Well, certainly not those finances, Joe. Yes.
And Peter, when you think of
Um,
that now, I mean, that's 48.25 million, and they don't have to pay their players. A lot of the stuff
no,
that's done by even coaches is voluntary. If you think the All Blacks, their sponsorship deal was worth, they reckoned the sponsorship and the merchandise was worth about 100 million. But then look at the
probably.
overheads they are paying players and everything.
Yeah,
So,
true.
I
No, no,
mean,
no. No, you're right.
that's probably worth about 90 million compared to a rugby team.
Yeah, no, no. Mark Noonan, the strength of Munster GAA, particularly hurling, has certainly affected Munster rugby over the last decade and more. If people have to choose of a Saturday afternoon, they're going to that GAA game, less grassroots players and support coming through for rugby overall. Mark Noonan, that was his thing. Mike Sheedy, hi Mike. Mike Sheedy says Munster game first half was poor, Exeter 31, Munster nil. But the second half was better to some comeback. Munster 0 time of the game did help on the day. Munster 21, Exeter 31. Move on to the URC soon. Bev Anne-Marie Burke. Thanks, Mike. Bev Anne-Marie. Dara, I don't think a shirt sponsor makes you win or lose. Yes, thank you, Bev Anne. Bishop Len. Just a few more comments to get through, folks, before we go on to our second last topic. Success breeds success, Mark. We have Ballygunner GAA Club down here in Waterford that's snowed under with kids wanting to play for them due to their club All-Ireland success. Yet we have other clubs emerging at certain age levels because they haven't the numbers to field teams. A successful Munster would drive the numbers of kids joining their local rugby clubs. Yeah, okay. Bev Anne-Marie Burke again. I feel like it's pushing players out from other provinces. Look at the Matthew Devine Connacht debacle. They got Ben Murphy from Leinster 3 weeks after signing Matthew as a senior player. And suddenly, within that 3 weeks, Matthew wasn't the flavour of the month anymore. Okay. Thank you, Bev. Sorry, one last one from Joe Lyons. Should the IRFU ease the restrictions on players and allow lads take 1 or 2 seasons abroad? Having several lads on a training pitch isn't a development. We need those lads playing games and not dropping out of the game. We have a small enough pool of players. We need to keep as many as we can. Good point.
Wasn't that the goal for the IRFU taking London Irish? So we could put some of those.
Yeah, but there was too much money involved in that, Dave. If you remember, Shane Byrne was on. He said the IRFU won't go. Yeah.
But still, the consortium headed by Jordan, God bless his rest his soul, has still got it, and they're coming back in September. So
yeah, but
the only way the IRFU could be involved with them is if they join the URC, because they can't be involved in an English competition.
Yeah.
And the RFU
the one
wouldn't
thing
allow
I
that.
would say on Joe Lyons' comment about allowing the IRFU easing the restrictions, there's no first choice players leaving. The first choice players are going to get picked every week with the provinces. So if you allow lads to go abroad, they're going to be the second and third choice in those positions. So it's not necessarily going to affect the restrictions on international duties. I mean, you could still have your second or third choice kicker going off to Exeter or Bath or wherever for a couple of months, because he's probably not going to be getting called up to the national squad, unless there's an injury crisis. So,
all right, okay, no, fair enough. Thanks, Darragh. Okay, Brett. Before we go on to our upcoming games this weekend, just a quick one. A lot of talk, as always, about Sam Prendergast. Some people, me included, I wrote an article about this. Do you think would it help Sam, Brett, if he did a Harry Byrne on it and went 6 months away to Bristol or Bath or whatever? Brett, what do you think? Is that something that's needed, or?
I don't think it's needed at this moment in time. I think I think he's look, he's had a tough second year as a professional, third year as a professional. Publicly, he's probably suffered more than probably most players do in a lifetime as a professional. Whether it be harsh or not, I think he might have been overexposed a bit too early, would be my thinking. Um, I would have said that he needs time in the gym. I think he needs time in the on the kicking tee. I think he needs time in his in tackle technique school. Um, but the only way he's going to learn is by playing games and to be around his people and his club. And there's a lot of care for him. There's a lot of respect for him. There's a lot of will to make him even better. Um, look, he's look, in hindsight, I think if we all look back, we probably would have drip fed him into international rugby and not overexposed him the way he was. Um, I think again, I always think of it as an analyst point of view. Like, if I'm designing a game plan to play against the team Sam's in, I'm going to try and find him. I'm going to try and find my best ball carrier against your weakest defender, and that's what he is. And I think the more footage people were getting on Sam, I think the more he was being exposed. Um, and I look, I even don't think the defense coaches have done him any favors here, because I don't see
Yeah.
too much improvements in his tackle technique. But he's got a World Cup winning Springbok coach who's a defence coach, and he's got a British Lions defence coach working with him at any stage of
Yeah.
his career. So if we go and track 52 weeks a year, he's either with one or the other. And if they are struggling to fix his tackle technique, there must be massive fundamental problems with it.
Yeah.
You know,
Brett,
Brothers at back
but he
row
is-
as well.
Brett,
Hold
do
on,
you
hold
think
on.
because he's such a young lad and social media is so prevalent, and basically Sam was blamed for, he was the evil genius keeping Jack Crowley from being according to social media users, he was the main reason why Jack Crowley hadn't got 100 caps for Ireland. It was all Sam Prendergast's fault. And do you think, I mean, for a young lad who's only like 21, that kind of stuff can get in their head and and literally just suck the confidence out of them.
Yeah, you look. Sam's a very confident guy, and he's got a lot of support around him. And he's got a really good family support with him. He's got good Leinster support with him, and these guys are heavily media trained to deal with this. They've got sports psychologists working with them, but it will still affect you. Like, it's only human to be affected by the noise that are out there. You can ignore it all you want, but someone will say something. Someone will tell you what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not a stupid guy. He's a very intelligent young man as well. Um, yeah, look, there's ways of dealing with it. I think there's a bit of overexposure. Yeah, look, I was going to say we've got two talented tens. We do, and I mean this in the best possible way. But if we actually go through the Irish team, the only position that didn't go on the Leinster was 10. Like,
Yeah.
Andy Farrell picked four other tens in front of him. So their pecking order on the world stage, and I think we come from a generation, and we're all probably of the same age, where we come from a generation where we've had the likes of Rog, Humphrey, Sexton, like they're generational players. They're fantastic, and we've had a 10 leading our national team through shit games and through grand slams. Like, we've had, like, they're exceptional rugby players. They're going to go down as the top 5 rugby players of all time in Irish land. But I'm not too sure Sam and Jack are remotely near that standard at the moment. I don't think they
What about
are.
Harry Brett? What about Harry Brett?
Like, again, Harry's taken his chance, but look, I actually thought Harry played really well at the weekend. Like,
He did.
his bonus over the other two lads is his kicking off the tee. Like, it's absolutely outstanding, And I think the breakaway to Bristol actually did him the world of good, just to get out of that environment for a while. Do I think it would work for Sam? Not at the moment. Now, I could
All
change
right.
my mind in 2 years' time, but I don't think at the moment.
All right. Okay. Go on, Dave. I see your hand up. Go on.
Yeah, I just what was it? People from Munster who are educated in rugby will not blame Sam for getting selected. We'll blame the coach. I think Crowley would have made that Lions tour because he was better than Finn Smith coming off the back of the Grand Slam or the championship he won with Ireland. But like, Sam was literally taken from under 20s and thrust into senior. Straight away, go, take it. It's all yours. Have it. That's the way it seems. Munster people are now trying to do that with Tom Wood every time Crowley misses a kick. And I'm sick of it because these guys are young. They've a couple of years to get more experience. Just bring them through nice and easy. Like, the thing with a lot of the stuff with Sam that I think upset a lot of people was just the hype around him. Like this Bernard Jackman higher ceiling nonsense. JJ Hanrahan was nominated. I've made this point before and I'll make it again. Was nominated for player of that Junior World Cup with Eben Etzebeth, and he never came to fruition. The same could happen to Sam. We don't want it to happen. But I'm just saying there's a possibility. So blowing up these younger players is just completely wrong based on a good under-20s campaign where they're generally lighter, not as fit, we all know like the pinnacle is international and it's the intensity is through the roof.
So Dave, as Brett alluded to, are the players then kind of badly managed by the IRFU or their province to a certain extent?
I don't think so. I just think the hype train that was there behind Sam, I honestly don't know.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean.
Certainly no more because he was involved with the Leinster setup. But on the outside, to the fans' perspective, it looked like he was just handed the keys. And then, like Kieran Frawley, an exceptionally good out half that won us the game against South Africa after a bad 20 minutes, was thrown under the bus. But then we saw Ross Byrne get thrown under the bus because he didn't win a Heineken Cup. And I'm not saying this to be smarmy. I'm just saying my observations. Because I like under Lancaster, I loved watching Leinster. I hate saying it to you people, but I loved watching Leinster play under Lancaster. And then when you see kind of the 4 times it didn't happen, and then everyone was looking for someone to blame. Why didn't we win? Oh, it's Ross Byrne. He didn't take that kick. Or it's this. It's not. But we know it's the collective. It's the whole team.
Okay.
Dave, do you think the hype train's going to be bigger for Tom Woods because of his granddad and his dad?
I think so, yeah, and I disagree with that.
Maybe so. All right, okay. Okay, Dara, I just want your quick thoughts because we're way over time on the question I asked Brett. Would a stint away suit Sam P at this particular moment in time?
No, I think he's too young, and as Brett said, he is the best setup behind him in Leinster.
Okay. Thanks, Dara. Sorry, I don't want to rush. We're over time. Mike Reedy, your thoughts? Sam P, a breakaway? Do a Harry Byrne on it, or is he okay at the moment?
I don't know the answer to that, to tell you the truth. But I will say this: I think Sam has suffered because of Leinster's style of play right now. This rush defence, he is the one person that has been exposed because the rush defence, great if everybody makes their tackle. Sam Prendergast has been identified as the weak shoulder in that line, and he's being everybody's coming down his channel. I mean, they're saying he's making 20. Who wants their 10 to be making 20 tackles in a fucking game?
Yeah.
Good point.
And like he's the one. Brett said it himself. If he was picking a team to play against Leinster, Sam Prendergast is identified as the weak shoulder. So I've said this for a long time, and I think he's suffered more than anybody else in Leinster because of the style of play. The rush defence is a fucking flawed concept as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Okay, before we go on to thanks, Mike. Before we go on to our last point, Kieran Ryan is in here with a comment. Hi, Kieran. Evening, boys. Didn't Harry go over to Bristol and come back to Leinster a better player? Are we putting too much pressure on young players? I think we've all kind of mentioned that particular aspect anyway. But okay, let's move on to our last point because Jesus Christ, we're way over time as always. Games coming up. Who's winning? Who's losing? Who's drawing? Brett, Igoe, I'm going to leave you to the last voice on the show. So Mike Reedy, going to start with you. Ulster are entertaining La Rochelle, Mike. Ulster at home.
I'm going to go with Ulster. I am going to go with Ulster.
All right, okay. Montpellier are entertaining Connacht.
Jesus, it's a tough game for Connacht, but do you know something? They can go out. Connacht can go out and do it again. By the way, I'll go with Connacht as well. I'm going to be positive about this.
Okay. And finally, Leinster are in the Aviva against Sale.
I think Leinster, no problem, zero problem. If they play, if they cut out the deft intercepts, which I think
Well, I
that's
mean,
a minor thing. People are getting excited about it. But
I'll ring them
that's
three.
tomorrow, Mike, and tell them you said that.
Yeah,
well,
we get on to Leinster, Mike, and we'll pass on your comments there about that. Yeah, all right, okay. Okay, Dave Sheedy, Ulster entertaining La Rochelle.
I had a quick look at the teams. I want to go on record saying I want Ulster to win, but I think it'll be La Rochelle because Stockdale is fullback, and I don't think he's a good enough defender.
All right, okay. Montpellier entertaining Connacht.
I know nothing about Montpellier, but I'm loving the Connacht lads after the last performance. So Lancaster all the way. Connacht win, please God.
Okay, and Leinster entertaining Sale in the Aviva.
George Ford is the 10 for Sale, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If he wasn't, I'd say Leinster would walk it. But I like George
I don't
Ford.
think there's no walking. There's no walking any games at this stage.
No, I just think they were caught off guard with those intercepts against Edinburgh, and I thought everyone alluded to they could have spanked them if they wanted to. If they really clicked, and if they click, look, don't get me wrong, if Leinster click this weekend, no one will touch them. If they click.
Okay. A very big if. Yes. Thank you, Dave. Dara Weston, to you, Ulster entertaining La Rochelle.
I mean, the heart says I'd love to see Richie and the boys pull it off, but I think the pressure Rog is under. I haven't seen the team, so it depends. Do they do the usual French thing of? I don't think they're in contention for the top 14. I think they're 4th or 5th. So
No,
I mean,
they're
if they send over a full strength team, it's going to be very, very tough for Ulster.
I don't think they have, Dara. I think it was similar to the
haven't.
team that sent to Newcastle last week.
Oh right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh well, then hopefully Ulster do it. So
Okay, Montpellier taking on Connacht. Dara.
yeah, Connacht are on a good run. Playing over in France. It'd be tight. I'd say Connacht maybe only like 3 points, maybe.
Okay, and finally, I don't know if you're going to it. I can't go to it. I wish I was. Leinster entertaining Sale.
I am, and I'm dragging a Munster woman with me. Yeah, Leinster. Okay.
All right. Okay, and finally, Brett, I go to you. Your thoughts on the games. Ulster v La Rochelle, Brett.
Ulster win for me. Not sure La Rochelle have too much interest in this one. Oh, an easy win, yeah.
Oh, all right, good point. Okay, why not, Brett? Why not?
I don't think
top
La
14
Rochelle have
is
too much of it. Yeah, I think top 14 is more of a focus for Rog at the moment.
All right, okay. Montpellier, Brett entertaining Connacht.
Oh, I'm going to say Connacht, and I'm with Dara on this one. I think Connacht by 2 or 3.
All right,
they're playing really well.
They're
playing great rugby at the moment.
They are indeed. And finally, Brett, Leinster are entertaining Sale in the Aviva.
Yeah, I think Leinster, a good win for Leinster. Fingers crossed.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay, folks, that is all we have time for. We are way over time. My thanks.
Can I give it for Irish women for in first round of the Six Nations on?
Oh yeah, geez, yeah.
At Twickenham.
Thank you, Mike. I thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot about that. Yes. Okay, Ireland versus England. Let's go. Your quick predictions, Mike. Go on.
I'd love to say an Ireland win by. I think Ireland will push England closer than anybody else in this tournament.
All right, Dave Sheedy. Ireland versus England. Women's Six Nations.
Ireland.
All right. Go on, Dara Weston.
Draw.
All right, okay.
I think the Red Roses might be too strong, so I'll say draw rather than what I'm thinking of saying.
I know what you're going to. I know. Brett, with your insight, with your inside knowledge.
Unfortunately, an England win, but it just has to be closer than the last 2 or 3 games we played against them. And if we can get a bit closer, we need to just keep closing the gap each year. The gap is pretty wide. And if we can keep closing the gap, we're on the right track.
Okay, very good. Okay, go on, Mike. Finish. Probably going to say, go on.
No, I'm just saying.
Quick.
For 60 minutes, we'll push them, but they're too strong. They're too strong
All right.
for them.
Okay. Right, folks. That is all we have
Munster,
time for.
Munster aren't playing
Jesus
this weekend,
Christ,
no?
I don't think so. No.
Shut up, Weston, or you're definitely going to.
The Battle of Clontarf will be happening again soon, Weston. Don't you worry.
Jesus Christ. All right, we just ever stop talking, for Christ's sake. Right, we're gone. We're good luck. My thanks are to Mike Reedy, Dave Sheedy, Darrell Weston, and indeed our special guest, Brett Igoe. Always a pleasure to chat with Brett and to hear
Thanks
his
for having me on.
opinions and his information. Not at all, Brett.
An education.
Now, and thank you all indeed for watching and sending in your comments. I couldn't get to them all. There are a few there, I see. But thank you. It is always appreciated. Folks, enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you again for tuning in. Good luck, and we'll see you all again next week. Thanks, folks. Bye.
God bless.
Gone.